Good morning, Elohim. Hope everybody's doing great this morning. Uh, just going over some of the Bible study stuff that I'd ran into from what I called boring. It turned out to be not so boring. Found out that Rebecca was like 3, and she had a nurse to go with her and take care of her. Found something on meditation in 2463. Genesis 24, 2063, and it's talking about Isaac went out toward the evening to meditate in the field. He looked up and saw camels approaching, and that's when Rebecca was coming back and being brought to him. And so in this, he meditated in went to a field, and that field is where Hagar had been so he went to meditate, but then he also went to get Hagar. His mom had died, and so he went to get Hagar. Well, it calls her Keturah, but it's actually Hagar, Ishmael's mom, and uh, and he had 6 more kids. And that number ratio of let's say uh, so Sarah would be one that would mother the Jews. Uh, at that time, they weren't called Jews. Matter of fact, everything that we read about, they're not called Jews at the time. And how I look at it is people that had a personal relationship with God. When you first look at these first 5 books we go through, uh, they had a relationship with God. They didn't have a religion. Now, the things that they did and what was given to them would set up for a religion, but they were not religious. Uh, and so Hagar is Keturah. Her name is changed. But also the Rebbe here, he calls Hagar a princess when Abram first goes down to Egypt. Abraham left with a lot of wealth, and part of that wealth was he left with a young princess, and that young princess is Hagar. Now, I don't know why he refers to her as a princess, but maybe that whoever that Egyptian leader was so scared that he gave one of his princesses uh, to Abraham for that. Uh, so it got interesting and kind of leads down different rabbit holes. Um, and so that 7-to-1 ratio, I look at that and then I think about Moses, and Moses is taking 80% of those coming out of Israel at after the Passover is mixed multitude with the majority of them possibly being Egyptian. Well, they're in Egypt, and so that can lead us down a whole bunch of stuff, without trying to change. I think we're free to speculate, but we don't change anything that is written, and we do our best not to change anything that is orally interpreted as well. It's not my book to change anything, but I do have the freedom to look and speculate and see if the spirit is giving me something that I can relate to in a different way, and that applies to everybody. All right, Hagar is Keturah. Meditation has been going on for a long time. Actually, the first form of meditation was 5,000 years ago in a cave in India. Uh, Isaac meditated, but it says that Abram went out by himself. So where does Isaac get meditation from? More than likely, Abram, when he went out on his own, uh, um, on 12 verse in Genesis 12:1, where it's go, and Abraham went his own way, and more than likely he probably meditated. It's just not notated. I'm taking a guess that father taught son, just like I'm thinking about when Sarah chose Hagar to have a baby. She basically increased, made it so that the prophecy of Abraham, you know, as many stars as you can count in the sky, she is the one that added to that by saying, hey, concubine with Ishmael. And that was the only child that they had while she was alive. Isaac, the son, went and got what is Keturah and brought her back, and she had six more children. So that's why I say it's 7 to 1. And then Abraham's seed is being spread out, right? And so, and then that happens again. We'll get to Jacob later on where he does the grafting. But also, as I'm reading in here, I find that, when you take on a kid, that kid is yours and they become part of the Jewish nation, so to speak. You take care of that kid the same way as you would your own. And so that grafting in that Jacob does, I think that's where that 80%, and Moses took advantage of that knowledge and exercised that. And he 80% is like a 4 to 1, but a lot more people at once. Whereas with Sarah and Hagar, that exploded, you know. So uh, different ways. And then you also have to think, if it was 80% that went Exodus that were mixed multitude, what about that 80% that mixed in that are not considered Jews or even Israelites? That when they would have been Israelites when they first went into Egypt, but they would have clustered off quite a bit, into Africa, into Europe, into other parts of Asia. And so that right there, when they went down there, it was kind of a blessing and a curse. But as far as Abraham goes, I mean, that's where his seed probably even exploded even more. Yeah, big thing. All right. Y'all have a blessed one.